Welcome to Happy Hour. I'm Crystal and thanks for hanging out with me. Today I am drinking a big glass of red wine. There's quite a bit in here because I needed it. It's just been one of those weeks, you know, and I needed a lot of wine. So if you're new to my channel, then welcome. Happy Hour is where we sit here and we talk about things that we love. I would love it if you would like, subscribe. There's a little subscribe right over here. So if you would click that, subscribe to my channel, that would be really awesome. And otherwise, grab your favorite snack or beverage and let's just get started. So what I have for you today is the new Manny MUA collaboration with Makeup Geek. So it took me a while to get this palette because first of all, I misread it and I thought originally when it came out that it didn't have like any new shades in it, which turns out to be a big fat lie. I don't even remember why I thought that, but I did, so I didn't order it right away. So I had to wait for the second run of these because if you guys have followed this at all, you know that it was like in stock and then it sold out as fast as a Too Faced palette, and so they had to restock and get more. So it is again out of stock, but they still have the disclaimer on there that they're gonna get more and they'll be available soon. So if you guys are interested in this palette, and you should be, there is a link on the Makeup Geek site for you to sign up for them to send you an email when they actually have more in stock. And I'm gonna also link this palette itself below. Anyway, enough about that. So this is what the front of the box looks like. This is the box that it comes in. It's got this cute little design that Manny himself designed. And then it's got a little Makeup Geek logo in the corner. And then the back here has a little bit of like a story from Manny and his pretty little face on there. And I really like that, as he says, he made this for any age, race, whatever. He wanted to make sure that this palette was something for everyone. And I would have to agree with that. I have used the palette several times. It's what's on my eyes today. And I am pretty happy about it overall. So this is part of why I got confused. There are 3 shades in here that are not new to this palette. They are existing shades that I already personally have, which I think also is why I got confused and was like, I'm not gonna repurchase these shades just because it's got Manny's face on it. Like, I'm not gonna do that. But it turns out that he actually did make 6 new shades with Makeup Geek. And if you guys have watched the launch video that Manny and Marlena from Makeup Geek did together, you'll actually see that they've been working on this Sora for a little while. It's been in the hopper. Things had to kind of get ready, but I like that they've been talking about this for a long time because I'm a fan of Makeup Geek, obviously, which I've talked about on my channel before, but I'm also a big fan of Manny's. Like, I watch Manny's videos. I really like Manny. I like, you know, how authentic he comes across, which, I mean, maybe some of you guys don't agree, but I think he does. Anyway, let's get into the colors. This is again this is what the front of the palette looks like. It's just your typical, you know, big version of the Makeup Geek logos, packaging, whatever you want to say. But they don't, in the past, they haven't made a palette like this, so this is also new. You do have the option of buying now on their website like a Z palette type thing that has this on it, but this is kind of a launch for that too. The back of this also tells you what all the different shades are, and that's one of the things, like probably the only thing that I can say that is a complaint of mine is that instead the colors are all listed on the back here and they are not on the palette itself. I think I've also talked about that before. I really prefer when it just says underneath it because then you're not like, oh, what is it? I'm gonna use this. What is that? I mean, I don't know if you guys do that, but I sure do. So this is a pretty typical palette, the way that it's laid out. It does have this nice mirror on here, which I didn't take off the protective little film because I've mentioned before I don't like to do that because then I'm just gonna get makeup all over that and be sad. So This is what the palette itself looks like. The colors that were already in the Makeup Geek lineup are Beaches and Cream here. Let's see, sorry, I have to read the back of it. Again, not my favorite part. The next one is Cosmopolitan right there. And then the other one that is not new is Frappe, which is right here. So again, aside from those three colors, the rest of these colors are all brand new to this palette, at least in press form. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I think that this color here, which is called Insomnia, is normally available in pigment form, and they did turn it into a pressed pigment for this palette, which I really like because I personally am really, like, I'm so messy, I don't even consider buying pigments because I know I'm just gonna make a gigantic mess with that, and I don't need to be dealing with that, especially first thing in the morning, which is when I'm typically doing my makeup. I don't need to be spilling glitter and all that shit all over the place. As I said, I've used several shades in this palette. I've actually used most of them, with the exception of I tried to not, for the most part, use the shades that I already have. And the reason for that is that I wanted to experience what is new in this palette instead of rehashing stuff that I always do. Particularly because this one, again, Cosmopolitan, is one of my all-time favorite shadows in a general sense. I love the shit out of that shadow. So I was like, I'm not gonna use it. I'm not gonna use the same old shadows that I always use. I'm gonna branch out, because who buys a new palette and then uses the shades that they had before? Also, as a side note, I apologize if you guys can hear like rain and stuff, because it's raining like crazy outside right now, and I don't know why, because it was sunny like 30 minutes ago or something, but whatever, I don't control the weather, unfortunately. So I'm gonna get to swatching all of these for you guys and just kind of talk about the things that I like about them. I am gonna do my best to not even try to describe these colors, because you know I'm not great at that. I just not. It's not one of my strong suits, and the website itself will describe them for us. So this first shade in the palette right here is called Artemis. This is what it looks like on my finger, and you know, like that. It's hard to tell, but I do have this on my inner corner. That being said, I put it on this morning like 10 hours ago, and I did not touch anything up. Primarily because I just like to see how things wear when I get a new, you know, anything. So even though I already have Makeup Geek shadows, I still wanted to try and see how things went. I also, keep in mind, have a lot of allergies. I wear contact lenses, so even though I don't want to, I still am kind of like dabbing my eyes regularly with, you know, tissue and that kind of thing. So it's, yeah, I mean, you can see it's really basically worn off. So let's just pretend that this is in my inner corner. It's a really beautiful color. It's got a little bit of shimmer in it. And again, this is one of the colors that Manny made with Makeup Geek. I'm gonna just swatch that right there for you. And you can just see how beautiful it is. Just the way that the light bounces off of that. Again, it makes really great inner corner. Like, let's just, if I can get my finger in there. Oh, no, that didn't work very well because my finger is far too large for that part of my face. So that's a lesson learned. Anyway, it's really good for inner corner. It's great for the brow bone, and I actually used it a few days ago. I want to say earlier in the week. I can't remember. But I used it as an all-over lid color because I was going for like a more bright thing with a little bit of like fake smokiness, because it was a work day and I don't smoke out my eyes much on the work days. Next up, we have Beaches and Cream, which is this shade right here. And this is, again, one of the shades that is not new, and I do already have it. This is what Beaches and Cream looks like on my finger, and kind of you can see it next to my face. This color I am wearing today, I used it as kind of my base for my shadow. It's kind of, you know, I've got all like my foundation and blush and stuff on, so it's not an exact match, but when I swatch it here on my skin, you're gonna see that, I mean, you can see it right here next to that first one, but it's really subtle, and it's because it matches my skin tone so well, which is why I used it all over my lid. Anyway, it's a great color. Even if you don't get this palette, I would still recommend it because, like I said, it's just a really wonderful shade to use in a general sense all over your lid. It's a good way to keep things, I don't know, mellowed out, I guess you could say. The third shade in here is called Luna. This is another one that Manny made for this palette, and this is one of my new favorite shadows. Let me just show you what it looks like on my finger. It's beautiful. This is what I have all over my lids today, and it's one of those colors that I'm just like, I get obsessed with these kinds of things. It's like it's kind of a rose gold sort of color, just really beautiful. And really, for me anyway, it's a very work appropriate color, which is one of the things that I look for in a palette. I love pops of color. We'll talk about the color in this palette in a little bit. I have makeup all over my computer, which is in front of me now. In my opinion, one of the marks of a good palette is your ability to wear it whenever you want to. So some people have a more, I don't know, daring kind of job where you can wear a more out there look. I don't really have that kind of position. I could probably get away with it like on Fridays because everybody, you know, they do casual Friday, crazy nonsense. But during the week, like, I can't wear those bright colors that I really want to wear. So I love that this palette has things that I can wear any day of the week, including my work days. Anyway, so this color, like I said, is really beautiful. It's basically a foiled shadow is really what it is. And I'm just gonna swatch it here, and you can just see the way that the light bounces off of that. I mean, it's gorgeous. And that shade alone, in my opinion, is worth getting this palette for. And I don't say that lightly because this palette is $45. It's not the cheapest palette you're ever gonna find, but it is a really awesome palette. Next up is Cosmopolitan, and that's that color right there. Like I said, this is one of my favorite colors of all time for an eyeshadow. I wear this color all the time from my other set, and I'm just obsessed with it. It's along the same lines as Luna, but it's like Luna's more peachy, little bit toned down cousin. You can see how I mean, look at how well they just kind of go together. I think anyway, because I don't really, like, I just wear whatever I want. So you can see their similarities and their differences. I think they go well together because I like a really metallic look. Anyway, beautiful color. Again, if you don't want to get this palette, you may want to just get something like that. Next up is Sora, which is, again, a color that Manny created, and this is a color that's almost, so I'm looking at it in the light because I'm trying to tell you what sort of finish it is. It may be matte, or it may be a little shimmery. I can't quite tell because it's possible that because I have used this palette and kind of messed around with it, some little micro glitter may have gotten in there accidentally. Either way, it's a beautiful color. It's what I have used as kind of my transition in my crease area, and it pairs well with Beaches and Cream, which is above it. So this is what it looks like on my finger. You can see it's just a standard beautiful color. It's something that goes well with a lot of different skin tones. Again, for me, I'm using it as a transition shade, and I feel like it works really well for that. It also would be if you're going for like a subtle, basically matte look, because again, I really do think that this is a matte shadow. I'm pretty sure that the little flecks of stuff in there is my fault. It's just, if you're going for just a nice matte look, this is a great shade to use. So I'm going to swatch it on my hand, and you can see it there. It's like a, I don't know, a light or a medium brown. And again, it goes nicely with its siblings along here, particularly the Cosmopolitan and Luna. I had to look again because I can't remember the names of anything. So, I don't know. I think it's a great shade, and it is, probably the only shade in this palette that I've used every time I've used this palette. So next to Luna we have Frappe, which is again not new to this palette. This is the last of the previously existing pressed shadows in this palette. And Frappe, you can even see it next to each other. It's these two right here. They look very similar, and it's like one is the darker version of the other one. And the reason that I really like that, because they do, is that it's good for creating, more dimension in your look. And I'm one of those people that I like going in with varying shades, like progressing darker of the same color family. So these two are they're really great for that. And actually, honestly, they would go well on top of Peaches and Cream. So again, you could make a really great matte look with that, because that is a matte shadow. I'm gonna swatch that one for you. I'm kind of running out of space, but there you go. You can see just how nice and just a good strong brown color it is, but without being too much. And it's really kind of one of those colors that I feel like is necessary for almost every palette, because you need some of those neutrally browns in a palette to make it work, in my opinion. And so that's one of those shades that makes it what it is. Next up we have Insomnia, which I believe is the only shade in this palette that I have not actually tried to use yet. And that is because it's a really dark, like duochrome-ish color that this goes back to my whole thing about this is a Friday color for me at the office, or a weekend color, but I haven't worn this palette on the weekend so far. Keep in mind, I did just get this palette in the mail like maybe a week ago at the most. This is a gorgeous color. It's hard to see on my finger the beauty of it and the duochrominess, but I'm gonna put it on my hand and we can see if we can catch it. Oh yeah, it's a lot better. So kind of the top note in it is like this green/gray sort of thing, but as you kind of move it back and forth, you can see it flash like this kind of burgundy or brown color. And again, it just goes because of that, it goes really well with some of the other colors in the palette, particularly the one here that I have it swatched next to, which was the Frappe. And that's it's one of those things that I really love. Another thing that I really love about this palette, because who knows how many times I can say that in one video, just the way that these colors all go together, it just, it's one of those things that you can tell that Manny and Marlena, probably more Manny than Marlena, put a lot of thought into this and made sure that it was something that would actually be usable in a variety of different ways. We're getting close to the end now, and the next one that we have here is Mars. And Mars is the only shade in here that I would say is a little, it's a little scratchy. It doesn't 100% feel like the other shades. So if you're familiar with Makeup Geek and you have an expectation of what a shadow is gonna feel like, the rest of them totally do. Mars is a little different. So Mars is this beautiful red burgundy color. One of the things I will say about this color, so I tried to use this. I actually, one day this week, I had done this pretty eye look that I really loved, and I went into the office, and then I got home and I thought, okay, I'm gonna film my review of this, but I wanna use more of the colors in it. So I went in like a pit bull and used this shade and made a hot mess of my eyes. The idea I had in my head was really beautiful, and what came out was not. And the reason is not because of the color, it's because of my dumb ass. I went in way too overzealously, because while I said this is a very, it's a more scratchy shade than the other ones, it's so pigmented that you don't need a lot. You need to just dab your brush in there just a little bit to get out the color. That is not what I did. And I should have known better, because Manny specifically said in the launch video that this bitch is pigmented. And I'm pretty sure that's a direct quote. If not, it's definitely the verbiage that he would have used. So just be careful when you use, where did I go with this shade? It's gorgeous, so beautiful, but yeah, don't go in there with a big shadow brush and think you're gonna make a cut crease with it, because that's what I thought, and it did not work out. Even when I pulled it off from the thing on my finger, there's a ton of shadow still on there, and look how much shadow I put on my hand. Like, it's just insane. That color is gonna last you a really long time, and I believe Manny said it was one of his favorites. So the last shade in here is right here. It's called Aphrodite, and as you can see, it is the darkest shade in this palette. And it's like, it's a really deep, like, gray purple, I would say. Again, I'm not gonna try too hard to describe these colors, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. This is what it looks like on my finger, and this is a color that I really like because it's not black. Because I think I've mentioned before, I don't love black eyeshadow on my skin tone. I feel like I'm a little too fair to successfully pull that off in most instances. I like this kind of shade because it can really be a substitute for a black. It's what I have as my eyeliner on both the top and bottom today. So it, for me, is kind of like the right tone to go with the looks that I usually do without being too harsh, although I think it is a little over dramatic for my bottom lash line. I was going for that kind of look today, apparently. So when I put this one on my hand, you can see it's not quite as deep as when I had it on my finger. So that's what it is. It's, again, really beautiful, and you know, if you were really feeling bold, you could probably, because of the tones in this one here, in this one that we're talking about, Aphrodite, you could probably build that up to be as deep and pigmented as it is in that pan, and use it with Mars if you wanted to, I don't know, make an eye look, because I think those would be really pretty together. And now, I don't know if y'all can hear it, but someone is parked out in front of my house, it sounds like, listening to some rap music. So as a whole, I would say this, personally for me, this is totally a palette that, now that I know it's not all already shades that I have, I really wanted to buy. And it's not because of, you know, giving me an opportunity to review a new product or anything like that. It's really because I love Makeup Geek, I love Manny, and I want to support them both because I feel like they all do a great job, and this palette is proof of it. Because this palette is pretty awesome as a whole. And, you know, if you don't like every shade that's in it, so let's say you don't. I mean, what if you like most of the shades that are in it? It's still a good value because each of your standard Makeup Geek shadows are $6 each. But for foiled shadows, for the duochromes, those are more expensive. It's not like they're super expensive, but they're more like $9 each. So given what you're getting in this palette with these 9 shadows, it's still a great value. So I would definitely say if you are on the fence, buy this palette. You're gonna love it, and you're gonna be happy to have added it to your collection. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. You can see how much of my wine that I've gone through because I didn't show y'all, but I was taking a lot of sips in between the swatches and such. So again, if you like this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel. I upload regularly, so you will be seeing more of this face, which hopefully you did like, because if not, sorry. Anyway, cheers until next time. Thank you for hanging out with me. Bye.